Thank you very much, our chairman, for this afternoon in the general session of our party. That's our national convention. The ministry of the month of October is a very active month for us. We have had thus far the launch of Project Fly and numerous we held a symposium at the T.A. Marister Community College with students under the theme Gifted to Succeed. On October 12th, the Ministry of Youth Development was extremely proud to launch the Empower program, providing an opportunity for 500 young men across the length and breadth of Grenada. It was launched under the theme Empowering Men, Strengthening Communities, Influencing Change. Also, during the month of October, the ministry held several block vibe sessions on different blocks in various communities across Grenada, in Paradise St. Andrew, that is in the Cocoa, in Gun Battle, in St. John's, and Mount Tranquil in St. David's. Brothers and sisters, the new Imani program continues to be a program of hope, opportunity, and empowerment for many young persons across our country. As of January 2018, a social care officer was added to the program, and the social care unit is responsible for providing trainees and helping them to cope with personal and financial challenges. Currently, there are 2,768 trainees in the new Imani program. The total from 2013 to 2018, 4,092 young persons have been engaged. Of these persons, we have had 2,593 trainees who have participated in the CVQ and NVQ courses, and 156 trainees provided with scholarships to attend TAMCC, St. George's University, and University of the West Indies. Only last week, Friday, brothers and sisters, another 800 young men and women were given the opportunity to join this life-changing program, Batch 6 of the new Imani program. We will be traveling to Carriacou on October 30th and 31st to launch all of these programs there. The government of Grenada and the Ministry of Youth Development recognize the importance of our young people to our nation's future development. Therefore, we will continue to invest as much as possible in educating and training our young people. We will spare no efforts in creating the enabling environment for our young persons to unleash their creative energies and to put their innovative ideas to work and help make positive contributions to our country's social and economic development. National Youth Week 2018 will be celebrated from November 9th to 16th under the theme Empowering Our Youth, Shaping Our Communities, Protecting Our Future. A variety of activities will be held to showcase our unique talents, to give back to our communities, and to recognize the contributions of our outstanding young people. I therefore take this opportunity to encourage each and every one of you, young as well as old, to show support for all of our activities as we celebrate Youth Week 2018. Brothers and sisters, we are very thankful as a ministry for all the wonderful achievements thus far, and we look forward to more positive things happening in the months ahead. I thank you and good evening.
That was our Minister for Youth, Sister Kate Lewis. She youthful, eh? You don't find so? Man, say it loud now. Oh, good. No one knows she youthful. You only saying secret. That ain't nothing. If them in the see you also, you vex then. Oh, well, talk loud now. Hey. I want to let you know that we are going live at this time on CRFM, which is 89.5. and WeFM on both 93.3 and 93.9, Real FM 91.5 and 91.9. Also, for those who are listening us but want another means if they're going out, we are on Facebook.com, which is NNP Grenada. Also YouTube, NNP News, and on Mikey Live, which is on Facebook. So all over Grenada, they're listening to us as we speak. One more little announcement before I bring another powerhouse, woman power. Someone had lost or misplaced probably this thing that I have in my hand. I won't tell you what it is, but I will show you. So if it is you, come and tell me what it is you misplaced and the brand name, and then I'll call the police and hand it to you so they know who I give, right? So just come forward if you think it's yours. I want us now to continue. We need to move with a little pace. We're a little behind time. And put your hands together. But look at trouble now. I hope plenty police watching, you know. Yeah. The lady don't identify herself. She ain't say what she lost. She just take the thing, you know. All right. Put your hands together, brothers and sisters, as we welcome another in the team of the new National Party, Sister Delma Thomas, to speak to you on social services and housing.
Our newly elected political leader and other members of the executive, other members on the platform, my brothers and sisters, a pleasant good afternoon to every one of you. I'm not hearing you, you're singing dead. A pleasant good afternoon to you. Are you here? Can I hear you? Good afternoon to you. Sisters and brothers, fellow delegates, I am here today to report that our fight to make a kinder environment for the development of the family continues. We are fighting not only modern day impulses and vices, but a rampaging culture of abuse and exploitation inherited from slavery, but that has also become more entrenched through generations. It is an ongoing fight where defeat is not an option, and where there shall be no excuses and no retreat, no surrender. One of our biggest One of our biggest challenges in this ongoing epidemic is child sexual abuse. Brothers and sisters, at this juncture, I really would like to extend my condolences to the family of the late Jeanette Johnson, a 16-year-old young lady who lost her life on the 25th of this month, just last Thursday. Brothers and sisters, this is not to be taken lightly. A child has lost her life. It should be an issue for every one of us here who are present. An issue to say that we must be protecting our boys and protecting our girls. We must be our neighbor's keeper. I realize, brothers and sisters, that social media make us become somebody who maybe the last 10 years, a nation we weren't. We become very insensitive and we post all kind of things on social media. But brothers and sisters, we do that when it's not our family. And when the shoe is on the other foot, we realize how much pain and suffering in that. And I want to urge us to be careful in what you're posting on the internet. Your online action can damage you forever. And therefore, I really, really want to urge you, because I am on social media, and there are sometimes I feel to delete my account. When you are reading and you are seeing what people are writing, it makes you very fearful. And our boys and our girls who are under 18 are on social media. Parents and guardians, we have a responsibility to protect our children, a responsibility what they are doing in social media. Because yes, we need the internet for our young boys and our young girls. They need it for research purposes. But as parents, we must be up to the time to protect them at all times. One of our latest installment in this fight against child sexual abuse is the launch of a special victims unit and a hotline with the police. In the first few weeks of its establishment, the hotline has received many useful tips that has led to our law enforcers, psychologists, and other social workers to act in the interest of our endangered children. This year, government has increased the amount of money it's spending on this issue, and there are to be further allocations that will be announced in the upcoming budget. Brothers and sisters, we will continue to discuss the plans with stakeholders to protect our boys and protect our girls. And the fight to protect our boys and protect our girls should not be only for government, but it should be for every one of us. NGOs, families, the churches, every one of us must be working together in order to protect those young boys and girls who are placed in our care. Brothers and sisters, the issue of housing continues to be an issue in every constituency. Government has continued to provide assistance for families who need our assistance. The last time I met with you, I told you what we were doing, and we continue to provide assistance for those who need assistance. And whenever I get a time to talk to you, I have to say that the assistance that is provided by government is not only for you who supported the National Party, but is also for those Grenadians, brothers and sisters who need our assistance. So whether they voted NDC or not the last election, but they need assistance for housing, we must provide for them. The old lady who you know voted for NDC and she needs our assistance, you have to report to us so that we can provide the assistance. Brothers and sisters, we have been seeing that many NNP supporters, you come, you want for your mother, you want for your aunt, you want for your sister, and your young child who is 20 or 21, who never had a house, is also looking for material to build a house, and then you say, I am not voting when the next election is called because I do not get assistance. So brothers and sisters, I want to urge you that we must always be our brother's keeper in every sense of the word. And we must be looking out for everyone. This government is committed to continue providing for everyone. And despite what you say, we will continue to provide for all. Brothers and sisters, we will look at all the different programs as a ministry, the Ministry of Social Development. The last time I reported the increase in the support for education, what the elderly citizens got, $300 increase, and we will continue as the fiscal space allows to provide more assistance for the families who need our assistance. But there's the other issue. Many people, you are working and you're still looking for assistance from the SEED program for your children to go to school. This program is for vulnerable families. It's for families who are not working. So maybe you were getting before, but you have a work, you have a job, and you're getting monies every month. You have to allow other families to get the assistance. And we must be promoting that as the government and as a party. It can't just be give me everything for myself and my family, and you really don't care who else get assistance. We have to provide for all who need our assistance. And every time as leaders, we get a chance to speak to you, we must say that to you. Because every time you come here, and many of you come and you applaud us loudly, but you still come quietly in our inboxes and on the telephone and saying this is our old NDC that campaign against us, and you're giving them assistance. How can we go forward as a party? But how can we go forward as a nation if we're only going to be looking at those who supported us in the last election? And what is frightening about that, and people are looking, they say that those who complain that only we're giving NDC assistance on Saturdays and Sundays, they have the Bibles in their hand. So you cannot be praising God in one way and then on the other hand telling us do not provide assistance, because people are looking and they are speaking. So as a government, we are committed to continue to provide support for education. We are continue to provide housing assistance and all the other social programs. We are championing the cause for our young boys and our young girls. We will continue, brothers and sisters. Just recently, I attended a meeting with parliamentarians across the world in Canada last week. And we discussed the issues affecting our children and the issues affecting our women. Brothers and sisters, I'm pleased to report that our country is high up on the map within the international level. Earlier on, you heard our Prime Minister received the Minister of Finance for the year. But we have also been seen as a model for the SEED program, and they are asking our unit now to go around the region. In fact, on the 20th, the OECS is having a meeting, and they are using our MIS officer to be a presenter for the OECS country. And over the world, they are looking at us as a role model, and therefore we should not take that for granted. Brothers and sisters, we must be proud of the leader and the members of the team of the New National Party. And we have to continue to be working in that light so that we can continue to be on the top. Somebody made a comment in the last meeting I came from. They said, before the opposition people was pushing corruption, so every time you hear about Grenada, it was corruption. However, they said right now, what you are hearing is very positive vibes, and even the opposition cannot contaminate anybody from overseas to believe anything otherwise. And therefore, you must commend our leader and the team of the New National Party. They have also commended our Prime Minister for the very forward thinking of having 7 women as part of his team. They say women place is in the House of Parliament because we know how to deal with the issues. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We thank our sister. That was Sister Delma Thomas. Sister constituency to Northeast. They're coming one behind the other. I don't know what else they expect of the Prime Minister. Huh? If I was Prime Minister, I would have do the same thing too. And so Gregory would have do. Because all of us, we like women, right? So we bring women in the house, yeah? What do you think? Yeah. That's NNP. Remember, we're going live on 89.5, 93.3, 93.9, 91.5, and 91.9. Thank you, Sister Delma Thomas. Now, you had 2 good women speaking. Yes? And of course, we gave you a good foundation before with some steel. Well, I find I want to strengthen that platform. So to speak to us on the issue of climate resilience and the environment, I bring you another still. This time, put your hands together for Simon Still, the Honorable Minister, to speak to us on climate change.
Thank you, Brother Bowler. Recognizing our political leader, members of the executive, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. According to Brother Bowler, we're sandwiching two women between two steels, so I'm not sure where he's trying to get to there. I've been asked to speak to you on the Ministry of Climate Resilience, the environment, forestry, fisheries, disaster management, information. This is a new ministry that was created as we came into office. And it's the first ministry of its kind in the Caribbean. And it's a reflection of the vision of our Prime Minister in terms of us taking a far more strategic approach to the issue of climate change and the stewardship of our environment. And this ministry is led by Brothers Dabrio, Garraway, and myself. So first of all, climate change. Climate change is the biggest global challenge that we face today. And as a small island developing state, we're highly vulnerable to the effects of climate change, whether that is through extreme weather conditions, hurricanes, sea surges, floods, droughts, or whether it's the slow onset effects, whether it's sea level rise that's threatening our coastal communities, whether it's the acidification of our oceans, which is killing our coral reefs, affecting our fish stocks, and affecting the livelihoods of our fishermen, whether it is the desertification of our soils, the loss of fertility of our soils, which is a major challenge for our farmers, again, speaking to challenging their livelihoods and our ability to feed ourselves, vector-borne diseases, the increase in Zika, chikungunya, dengue, all as a result of climate change. So the Ministry of Climate Resilience is set up, as I said, to take a more strategic approach to that. And then the stewardship of our natural resources, recognizing that a healthy environment impacts our economy, it impacts jobs, it impacts our health, and for us to take better care of that. So climate resilience speaks to our ability to withstand these extreme events better. So if it is with sustaining less damage, less loss of life in the event of a hurricane, and then our ability to recover more quickly afterwards. So with Hurricane Ivan, 95% of our building stock damaged or destroyed, 200% of our GDP. By building resilience into all that we do, enables those losses to be less and our ability to recover. But what does this mean for us as ordinary people? Adapting to climate change speaks to improving the lives of our people and protecting our communities. There are billions of dollars of international resources out there right now for climate resilience. And the key mandate of this new ministry is to tap into those resources and ensure that Grenada gets its fair share. And where we're able to demonstrate areas of national development priorities, whether it is infrastructure development, our tourism sector, agriculture, healthcare, education, where we are able to draw a link between those sectors and climate change and our need to adapt to climate change or mitigate against climate change, there are financial resources. So whether it is improving our road networks around the island that are under direct threat from climate change, whether it's traffic congestion that is creating greater pollution that we need to be fighting against in terms of global warming, there are opportunities to develop projects and to find resources to address those. So whether it is the southern corridor between the town and the airport, that is one active project that's currently being looked at, or the town congestion within the town of St. George's itself. It's about protecting our vulnerable communities that are under attack by sea level rise, whether it's Grenville, Sauterres, other coastal communities. It's about food security, how we feed ourselves, addressing the challenges our farmers are facing, finding climate smart agricultural practices that address issues of drought, flood, and pest. Or our fishermen, how we can work with our fishermen, how we can manage our ocean resources so that our fisheries is far more sustainable. We're able to catch more, but in a far more sustainable way, not just for today, but also for generations to come. Working with the private sector in the tourism sector, just recognizing the arrival of the Prime Minister's mother and sister. Welcome, welcome. So whether it is working with the private sector in the tourism, within the tourism sector, whether it is the hotels, making them more resistant to extreme weather, whether it's protecting our beaches, our rainforests, our other natural assets, our coral reefs that attract visitors. Minister Steele spoke about the health sector and achieving the status with Princess Alice of being the first climate resilient hospital within the region. These are all examples of how climate resilience can apply to those areas that matter most for us. And then in the area of education, opportunities, jobs will be created, economic stimulation will be created from these projects. And we need to be training the next generation of whether it's engineers, whether it's in the construction industry, new construction techniques, to be able to withstand the effects of climate change, whether it is the areas of renewable energy, climate smart agriculture, the technicians, the scientists that are required for us to service these new areas. Education has a critical role, so we'll be working with TAMCC, with SGU, with other universities as to how we could build capacity here in Grenada to meet the demands of this new area, the area of climate, of disaster preparedness, how we can prepare ourselves to better protect ourselves in the event of a hurricane, supporting the emergency services. These are all areas that attract international resources, international finances that we can bring to Grenada, that we can use to strengthen all of these key areas. So in addition to making us more resilient, it's about creating jobs, it's about growing our economy at the same time. So the priority of the ministry is developing a pipeline of projects that speak to all of these so we can access those resources. And we've already had some successes. With the Green Climate Fund, we have access to $125 million for a water project. This will see the transformation of our water sector, addressing the issues of the need to store more of the rain that falls and being able to distribute that in areas down in the south where we are more drought prone. And the project, highly infrastructurally based, will create hundreds of jobs as that project comes on stream early next year. And a project that you'll be hearing a lot about in the coming months is the Climate Resilient City Project, which will make St. George's the first climate resilient city within the region. Again, looking at areas such as strengthening our infrastructure within the town. The award to the Prime Minister as Finance Minister of the Year for the region is not something for us to underestimate. It is a reflection of the fiscal measures, the fiscal responsibilities that we have taken here in Grenada. We are doing things that other countries wish they can do, and Grenada today, and the award to the Prime Minister is a reflection of that, of all that we're achieving there. But what that is enabling us to do is to attract international attention, attract greater resources, preferential access to international monies that are out there because of the things that we are doing right with regard to managing our economy. And through managing our economy as well as we are, also helps us build that fiscal resilience that we need in addition to our physical resilience. So as we build, as we draw on these resources, we'll be able to build a far more resilient nation that strengthens our economy and creates jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
We want to thank Brother Simon Steele, just telling you how together, government and people, we are going to build. We are going to be prepared for the changes that are already taking place in our climate. Brothers and sisters, the other day I was listening to the radio and I heard an advertisement came on and started with that song saying, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. You feel the breeze? It's a little cooler these days. Well, NNP in Christmas too. It's not just you, it's all of us, right? And so there's a massive plan for something great to be happening around the Christmas time. And the lady who is leading that charge, I just want to give her a minute or two. Please give her your undivided attention. That's the only thing you have to pay, just your attention. And she will tell you exactly what is happening and how you can be involved. Put your hands together for Dr. Dubois as she speaks to you just for 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I will not be doing the exact promotion. The newly elected PRO will be doing that. But I just want to tell you that, like Brother Bowler said, we have a great plan for the Christmas holidays, but we would not be able to do it without our good singers. You know, NNP has some really, really great singers. So we need all the voices, especially the men. We need the men on board. So I am just appealing to you. And it's going to be of the best quality. We're really going to do a wonderful production. But we can't do it without you. And I'm going to turn over now to Sister Emmeline.
Thank you very much, Julie, Mr. Chair. Two people speaking to me at the same time. I'm going to choose, if you forgive me, to do my presentation first and then end with this wonderful news that Julie wants me to share with you. I'm going to try to be as diplomatic as I'm supposed to be this afternoon and to say, Mr. Political Leader, Chairman of the New National Party, executive members of the NNP. NNP! I tell you, I tried to be diplomatic, but I can't help myself. NNP! All right, we there, right? This afternoon, I want to share with you very briefly just a couple activities which are occurring within the Ministry of Education at this time that we believe we would want you to be aware of. In the interest of time, I'm just going to share with you a list of those activities, and I would elaborate, as Minister Bowler, General Secretary, would have said during the budget presentation. Brothers and sisters, as you know, our government has always placed education as an important sector in the transformation of our country. And whatever we do, this government has always demonstrated how important education of our children, education of our nation is. And so this afternoon, I say to you, we are continuing to build on what those who have done before, our various members on the platform here, and even those who went before them, would have done in the area of education. We continue to build upon this. And so I want to start, while this might not sound as a major one, it is extremely important to us. Because we recognize that as a government, if we do not have the support of our stakeholders on board, our tasks become far more difficult. And this afternoon, I'm extremely happy to report to you that the support from our stakeholders in education has been extremely encouraging. And I say to you, the support of our stakeholders would help us to do even more for you. As it relates to support for our children, particularly our needy students, this government continues to invest heavily so. In as far as this year, we have spent over $2.5 million in the purchase of school books. Brothers and sisters, while this is newsworthy and extremely important, we know that we want to do even more. As a matter of fact, we've already started the discussion. We've started that discussion that says to us that in the very near future, we have to look at digital books. We have to look at using the technology even more to our advantage. Some of you realize what is happening to our students, the weight of their bags, and we realize that we have to do something. But of course, the cost of repairs is another reason why we have to look at technology for added support in carrying those same books in digital format. School uniform for our students, the School Uniform Support Program. This government has been investing millions of dollars because we understand that there are many students, many children who need that kind of support daily. Transportation assistance, scholarship. Only this year we spent over $45 million already on scholarship to local Grenadian students so they can further their studies here in Grenada and abroad. A government that consistently cares as it relates to our young people and education. Tuition support. So those students who don't get full scholarship, we still go the extra mile to ensure that we can assist them with tuition, particularly our students who are studying at SGU. Our school feeding program, we continue to invest in that because we do understand that there are students who still go to school without a hot meal, and we intend to ensure that this support is provided. Brothers and sisters, some of you may know even better than me that we do have some serious challenges in this program. And I want to give you the assurance this afternoon that we have started working on those. As a matter of fact, the situation at the marketing board has seriously affected the school feeding program, and we have discussed with the Ministry of Finance ways in which we can purchase outside of and get the support for immediate supplies to our schools. Special education, brothers and sisters, we believe in equity, we believe in access. All students, it does not matter their condition and their circumstances. And so we've been giving added support to our students with special needs. You would have been following the media and you would have heard of some of the activities that have been taking place in that area, because we believe every child deserves a chance and no child should be left behind regardless of their circumstances. Support for teachers, brothers and sisters, during the August vacation, over 475 teachers were engaged in training. Those teachers, particular areas such as mathematics, where we have some serious concern, we would have engaged those teachers, and in particular with maths, we brought in specialists from the region to support our teachers and would be monitoring them in the classroom. Over 50 teachers were admitted to Teachers College, our regular program there, and the same number, brothers and sisters, in terms of technical support, technical area, the TVETs area that we speak about so very often in terms of how important it is for driving our economy. Brothers and sisters, we don't just talk. We have engaged for the first time a number of those teachers at the Teachers College. While that is happening, brothers and sisters, fortunately, many persons have gotten the opportunity for the first time to enter the classroom, because of course many of these teachers would have had to be replaced in most cases temporarily. Only this year, brothers and sisters, we've been able to regularize over 70 teachers. That means teachers who are in the system for years and years and years, and their status would not have changed. We have been able to do that this year, brothers and sisters, and many of our teachers are extremely happy with that move by this government that would have taken on this initiative. Even teachers, brothers and sisters, who would have started their first degree, we are supporting some of them, a new program where we are going to give support to teachers who have started, particularly again, areas such as math and language and so on. We want to give them the support to complete their studies in those areas. Our support services for students, whether it's counseling, whether it's our truancy officers, we are beefing up on those services because we recognize that our students need those kind of support services. We come from the communities and we do understand. Improvement to infrastructure. Over the August vacation alone, over 35 schools were repaired, under the school repair program, which means that our students were able to return to a more comfortable environment, and that did not stop. We continue our school repair program. But in addition to repairs, we know that we have some schools that we must reconstruct, and we're talking about new schools. So we have 5 schools that are down for reconstruction, and we're talking about new schools. Anglican Primary School in Grenville, Bishop's College with a new wing, St. David's Catholic Secondary School. Brothers and sisters, those are schools that we have committed to, and those are schools that we are going to do the work that we need to do. Grenada Christian Academy, another one. And of course, 2 preschools. The Paradise Preschool will be relocated. We have just approved for the lands. I know that's a major concern in St. Andrew. We have approved the lands, and that school would be rebuilt in a new location. Happy Hill Brizan, we've also approved the lands for relocation of those schools, preschools that is, and we continue to work on creating safe and comfortable environment for students and our teachers. Brothers and sisters, furniture, you've heard it in the news, a major issue, a major concern. We have just spent over $500,000 supplying furniture to schools throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Just want to add to that we were very concerned as a government that we need to promote STEM. And so science and technology, we can't be speaking science and technology if we do not bring back our National Science Fair. And I want to say to you, on the 8th and 9th of November, after a 10-year break, our National Science Fair will return so that the young people of our country can get that opportunity. Finally, brothers and sisters, I want to say to you, at the policy level, we continue to work on policies. There are a number of policies that we have to continue to build upon and to review. But one of those policy decisions has to do with our emphasis and our focus on skills training. And this government has demonstrated its seriousness. A minister within the ministry has been given specific responsibility to expand and provide that opportunity that skills training can take its rightful place in our development agenda. And that is why, brothers and sisters, Sister Moses has been leading that charge already. We have extended to New Law an increased subvention because we believe in what New Law is doing. We believe that we are benefiting from the programs at New Law. Funding has already been approved for skills training centers throughout the island. The first one already completed in terms of rehabilitation program to roll out very quickly. Cabinet has also approved additional funding, over $250,000. So our young adults, people who need a second chance, our young women, 35, 40, even 50, that they too can get an opportunity. Because we believe that the direction that the world is going, skills training, the opportunities for CVQ, and this government is prepared to do what it has to do. So I say to you this afternoon, we are committed. And we are working hard to build upon what has been started. And I give you the assurance that education is in safe hands. Brothers and sisters, as it relates to the activity, let's get excited now. Now, on the 20th of December, and it's a date that you want to mark because it is a date that you don't want to miss. And this is actually going to be the biggest event of the new national party since general elections in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. No one wants to miss it. So we are going to be circulating to all of the constituencies very soon tickets that would cost only $20 as you invest in the development of your political organization. And you do so while at the same time you are going to have fun, because it's going to be an I'm so excited already. But there's something important that you need to know. And if you're talking, I want you to listen, because this is as important as everything else I just said. Now, on that day, the event will be under the patronage of the political leader of the new national party. That's his event that we are going to carry on and do so well that he's going to be extremely proud of us. So this afternoon, you see that door right there? Before you leave, somebody would be right there. That lady who was just with me, Sister Julie. We want every constituency. You've come with people. Every constituency is represented here. And you are to identify in your teams the people who have come from every constituency. Who are the people that are good at acting? Who are the people that are good at singing? And it's not a competition, so don't think I mean good mean that you would be judged. People who love to sing. People who believe that they can make the political leader and the NNP team proud that as a political organization, we are going to put out an excellent Christmas production. Every constituency must be represented. So we are going to be registering. Today is actually the last day for registration. Today is the final day for registration, and you are not to leave until you are sure that your constituency is well represented. At the end of this all, so after the 20th, members of the cast, members of the team who would have represented their party would receive official certificates from the political leader of the new national party. I'm registering too. So that 10 years from now, you can say to your children, the very first Christmas production of the NNP, I was there. But very interestingly, and I know this one is exciting, I'm excited too. We have already started discussing means and ways that we can take this crew and take this team to some other country on behalf of NNP to do the production there, because we know that this production will be first class. So even if you're not an excellent singer, you're not an excellent actor, the point is this: we are going to be working with you. We have a team of professionals who are going to work with you. So I say to you, ensure that you register this afternoon. Sister Julie, add my name, and after that, all the others who are coming, let's make sure everybody gets registered this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Let's give it up for Sister. Yeah. I'm excited too, you know. I registered already. Yeah, they tell me, they're putting me in front. They want me to stay in the back to sing because I sung more like bass. But I'm still there. So come with your beautiful voices and come and act. Come and be part. I did not, oh yes, Sister Emlyn did say, it's only $20. You only spend $20 to get an opportunity to participate in this wonderful experience, the Christmas production. Yeah? If I could have sing good, I would have sing for you, you know. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. You hear? I start. Anyway, we're moving on. I want you to make sure you register before you leave. Practices have already started. They're practicing. They're sounding really good and they're looking good. And we want you, the tickets will be out pretty soon, Sister Pierre, very soon. Make sure before you purchase ham, you purchase a ticket to go to that production, or else you will be really missing Christmas. Now we're getting to a very serious time, yes? You know, anyway, that's politics. Let me leave that alone. Eh? I want to bring to you the next speaker. Young lady, very vibrant. I mean, when she speaks, you have to listen. No matter what you're doing, you must stop and listen. And so, my friends, I ask you all to pay some attention now. Put your hands together. And welcome to the platform one of our new senators. She's Sister Kim George, and she will speak to you in very simple terms about the CCJ. Sister George.
Thank you, Mr. General Secretary, or their political leader, the chairman of our party, other executive members, brothers and sisters. It is my honor this afternoon to speak to you on an issue of significant national importance, which is going to come to the fore in just over 1 week's time on the 6th of November, 2018. And that issue, ladies and gentlemen, is whether or not, as a nation, we would make the decision to transition our final Court of Appeal from the Privy Council in England to the Caribbean Court of Justice. And I want to start, as I always start, by saying that this is not a political issue. It is an issue that affects us as a people. It is an issue that affects every citizen of this country, because it is the right of every citizen to take part in a discussion about how our justice system must function, about how our laws must be made and implemented, and to make sure that those laws are implemented in a way that suit us as a people. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is the context for the discussion about the CCJ, and I urge us all to stay focused on that point, not to be distracted by people who may have other motives. And I want to start by addressing the question of what is the CCJ? And the CCJ is an acronym for the Caribbean Court of Justice. And it is a court which was established on the 14th of February 2001, when Grenada, together with other CARICOM countries, signed an agreement establishing the Caribbean Court of Justice in Bridgetown, Barbados. And it is a court, and it's important to note this, it's a court which functions in two capacities. It has what is called the original jurisdiction, and it has what is called the appellate jurisdiction. Now, the original jurisdiction by its nature refers to matters that, disputes that start in the CCJ. So that famous case of the young lady who was intercepted in Barbados by Barbados immigration authorities and felt that she was dealt with in a manner that was unfair to her as a CARICOM national, started in the CCJ in its original jurisdiction. Grenada at the moment has a case before the CCJ, again in its original jurisdiction in relation to the rights of the citizen of Grenada. But for present purposes here today, what is important is the CCJ in its appellate jurisdiction. And to understand that, we have to understand as well that the court system in Grenada is what we call hierarchical. So that we have our magistrates court right at the bottom, we have our high court above that, we have our court of appeal above our high court, and at the moment we have our privy council at the very apex. And so if you go to the magistrates court or to the high court and you get a judgment in a matter and you're dissatisfied with it, at the moment you have a right to take that matter to the next level, which is to the Court of Appeal. And if you go to the Court of Appeal and you're dissatisfied with the judgment you get there, at the moment, you have a right to take that judgment to the next level, which is the Privy Council. Now, it has proven to be very costly for citizens of not just Grenada, but the CARICOM region as a whole, who have the Privy Council as their final Court of Appeal, to access justice in the Privy Council because it is based in England. And so it means that any conversation, any thought you have about appealing to this final court has to be a conversation, especially in financial terms, in British pounds. And on an ordinary day, you're looking at multiplying your dollar by at least 3. You have to look at your question of airfare, if needs be. You have to look at getting an opinion in relation to your case. And I gave the example of persons who have had to get an opinion as to whether or not this is a case that is likely to succeed at the Privy Council. And the cost of an opinion for Queen's Counsel, and Queen's Counsel is a term used to reference lawyers who are successful and recognized at the very highest level. And that's an award that's bestowed on them at the moment by Her Majesty the Queen, and they are called Queen's Counsel. And the cost of obtaining an opinion from Queen's Counsel is in the range of £20,000 and upwards. And you do the math, multiply that by at least 3. And that is before your case even gets off the ground. That is just for someone to say to you, I think this case makes sense or does not make sense in terms of moving forward to the Privy Council. And so, having discussed and explained what the CCJ is, I would like to move on to the issue of why the CCJ is important to us as a people. And in my opinion, it is impossible to do that without understanding the historical context behind our justice system. And we have to start right at the beginning. We have to remember that our forefathers came here not by choice, but by force. And they came here without a voice, without a say in how they would be judged, without a say in who would judge them, and without a say in the results of any trial. And so as far back as 1826, and I'll come back to that date in a while to address the argument of the people who say they think we're rushing and they think we're in a haste. But as far back as 1826, it was recognized that there were serious problems with the administration of justice in Grenada and in other territories. And so an inquiry was set up and a report was produced, and it identified several issues with the way justice was administered. And even back then, one of those issues was access to justice for persons. And fast forward to 1966, and there was a very renowned West Indian scholar who was speaking on the issue. And his name was Professor Pashet. And I'll just read a very brief extract for you of a paper which he presented. And even then, he was speaking about the attempts to find and formulate appeal courts that would work for us. He said the numerous attempts to introduce composite appeal courts can be traced in the first instance to the need for a system of review without the expense involved in bringing the matter before the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. So sisters and brothers, you don't have to take it from me. It is a documented fact, and it was documented as far back as 1966 that that was an issue for our people. It remains an issue for our people today. And so in the historical context, we are at a point now where, having recognized over 192 years ago that this was an issue for us, we now have to seriously address and fix that issue. And that is quite simply what the vote on the 6th of November attempts to do. Nothing more, nothing less. And you may ask yourself then, what benefits can the CCJ bring to us as a nation? And the first and perhaps the most obvious one is that, as I said earlier, it makes access to justice easier for the ordinary man and woman in Grenada. In addition to that, because of the way the court is set up, the headquarters are at Trinidad, there is an emphasis on dealing with matters urgently. You might recall the issue that arose quite recently in relation to the elections in Barbados, where CARICOM, Commonwealth citizens were concerned that they were not going, their rights to vote were not going to be recognized, and the matter was heard in a matter of days just before the Barbados election. And that is the benefit that the CCJ will bring, one of the benefits. There is, of course, the question of costs, which I addressed earlier. And there is a very real prospect that at some stage, very soon, the British will say to us, we are no longer prepared to fund, finance, and support your final appeals process. And they've hinted at it already. And so we may find ourselves, and this is an important point, in a situation where the British say to us, we're not prepared to fund this anymore. And then we have to scramble to deal with that issue. And it's important because the Privy Council, as a final appellate court, is enshrined in our Constitution. And what that means is that, as you may know, our Constitution is what is called the supreme law of the land, meaning any law that offends it or goes contrary to it is struck down. Whatever the Constitution says is upheld. And because it is so serious, to amend that Constitution or to change it, you have to, in the case of provisions such as the Privy Council, you have to go to a referendum, as we're doing on November 6th. And for it to pass, as you may know, it requires a 2/3 majority of the persons who attend and vote. And we don't want to find ourselves in a situation, brothers and sisters, where we squander the opportunity that we now have, only to find that we're scrambling to amend our Constitution and fighting to obtain the requisite 2/3 majority. And another benefit, sisters and brothers, of the CCJ is that it helps to complete our independent status in the Caribbean. And that's an issue that is very near and dear to me, because when I think about it, I recall those who have gone before us in a time when they were not even considered to be persons. They were the property of other people. And they had to fight. They had, at the expense of their lives and the lives of those they loved, to get to a point where their voice would be heard, where they could vote, and where their votes would count. And as you would know, upon our independence, our executive would have become free and separate from British rule. But that has not happened in relation to our judiciary, because the final say in relation to our laws resides with the British in the United Kingdom. And so if we ascend to the CCJ on November 6th, and I dare say when we do so on November 6th, we will be completing that independent process in relation to our judiciary and in relation to our lawmaking. And as well, the CCJ enhances the development of closer regionalism amongst CARICOM countries. And so you might hear people saying, well, I wonder what this rush is about, and I'm suspicious about this rush. There is nothing to be suspicious about. It is Grenada recognizing that we are part of a brotherhood of nations in the CARICOM region, that this is a commitment that we made since 2001, that it is a commitment that was well thought out, and it is a commitment that we must uphold as a nation, as a people, and that is all it is. Our brothers and sisters in Antigua will be engaging in the same exercise. There are those of us in Belize, in Dominica, and so forth who have already, Barbados, who have already made the move from the Privy Council to the Caribbean Court of Justice. And I wanted to speak specifically to a couple issues that have been raised in opposition to the CCJ. One of those you might hear people saying is, well, we have a broken justice system and we can't fix it. And if we can't fix it, we ought not to take our eyes off it and move on to the CCJ. And my simple answer to that is that although the two things may appear to be related, they are separate and distinct. Because the question of our courthouses and our access to justice locally is an issue that is presently being addressed. The issues that would have arisen at the time when we had no functioning courthouse is no one's fault, and anybody who is fair and balanced will tell you that. And I know for a fact that serious attempts were made for a significant amount of time in consultation with all stakeholders to find a suitable building for the courthouse. And luckily, those attempts have borne fruit. We still have a lot of work to do in terms of addressing a permanent facility. But our Court of Appeal was able to sit last week for the entire week without incident. And our civil court and criminal court are presently sitting without issue. And on the question of haste, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I say, if not now, then when? It has been 192 years since we have been having this conversation. Are we to continue to deprive ourselves of something that is so obviously necessary? And you hear people say, oh, I support the CCJ, but. In my respectful opinion, there is no but. Once we support it, we must press on. If there are issues, they are capable of being dealt with because we are an intelligent people. We have produced persons on the world stage of the highest order, and we will continue to do so. There is absolutely no reason, if issues arise, as they will in everything else, that we cannot flesh it out and we cannot work those through. We have been part of a currency union that has worked excellently for several decades now, and that is in relation to the EC dollar. And there's several other institutions that we have conceived regionally and that are working and continue to work for us. The University of the West Indies is another example. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to close by saying that there is no doubt in my mind that come the 6th of November, we have an obligation to ourselves, we have an obligation to generations past, we have an obligation to generations who are going to come up on the future to make the bold, brave, and necessary step of voting yes for the Caribbean Court of Justice. Thank you very much.
We need to give our sister some more claps. Please, come on, give it to her. She did explain very well, right? You have a much clearer understanding now. Oh, 192 years since we're waiting? They say we're hastening. Well, let's hasten to go into the polling station on the 6th and vote yes for CCJ. I voting yes. Where are you voting? You, where are you voting? And you in the back there? No, man, that yes ain't going out to there. You look like I'll go stay home and sleep. Say yes, loud and clear. We voting CCJ? Yes. Okay. Encourage your sons and your daughters, your aunt, your nephew, your niece, and your cousin. All of them must go out and vote. Just a few housekeeping matters before we bring on the next speaker, who's another excellent speaker. Sister Kim, we thank you very much, very, very much. I think it is much clearer to a lot of people. For those of us who are sitting outside, very comfortable on some black chairs, I can count them from where I am here. You are kindly reminded, and this is a message coming from the principal of the school, that you should return those chairs upon completion of the meeting back into the auditorium where you took them. Please, let's show that we have respect for property and we have discipline as a people and a party to return them inside. Please, thank you. When the meeting is over, just return them. The second thing is that for all those who wanted to register, when the PRO spoke, she mentioned that upper door, you should go there and find Sister Julie. She have now relocated to the middle door, the big glass door. She said it has more space, it's easier for you to access to continue the registration. And they are asking, please register all ages. It doesn't matter, children from 14 years, you are accepted as part of the production. And I see a note here that came to me saying, free, everybody, do you like free? Yes, we like free. Free transportation will be provided by each constituency, and the next practice session is Tuesday, 5 p.m. sharp at the National Stadium. So when you register, give your name, your address, your surname, and all contact numbers that you have. They will get in contact with you. Transportation arrangements will be made, and you will go down and practice. Okay? Boy. Okay, we're going to practice on Tuesday? Wow. Yeah. I see us coming in numbers, in droves. I want you now to ready yourself for another very important issue. Very topical and the man that is very versed in the labor movement to come to speak to us on the issue of pensions. There are still some issues that people do not understand about that. And so now you must put your hands together and welcome Brother Chester Humphrey as he speaks to us on the issue of pensions.
All right, good afternoon to everyone, brothers and sisters, comrades. Political leader, I want to take the opportunity to depart from the current protocol and move to the more traditional protocol under which I was brought up. And therefore, I would recognize your mom first. Mrs. Mitchell, welcome and happy to see you, and I wish to recognize you for giving us one of our greatest leaders that the country has seen. To all the brothers and sisters of the newly elected executive, I wish to compliment you for that symbol of continuity and stability within the party, which does not exist in other political parties in Grenada currently. Some of them you can't find the last leader. Some of them they have a leader and you didn't know if he took employment with Lacour or with Otway, because from the time he was elected, he dead. You only just arose the other day to answer his name, and generally the name is no. Comrades, I want to say in my 40 years, almost, well, entirely so, of representing the working people of this country, I am indeed happy to be associated at this time with a new national party. Because when I look around and I look of those of you who make up the new national party, those of you who are here, it tells me that the working people are here because the new national party is the party of the Grenadian working people in this period. Comrades, there's a very important issue of which the party has tasked itself. And that task took several years, quite a number of years, before it was addressed. Government came and government went since 1983. And it took the new national party, after a meeting in June, July, with the Technical and Allied Workers Union in 2012, which I then led. And coming out of that meeting, if I'm not mistaken, party leader, I think this might have been the only meeting that the Technical and Allied Workers Union had with the new national party, if I'm not mistaken. And that meeting didn't happen because they expelled me from the NDC. In a sense, I was homeless. And I found a house. So I was homeless. But that meeting laid the basis for a lot of what the new national party is doing now for the workers of this country. And coming out of that meeting, there were 27 points of agreement. If I could recall, I think Brother Gregory Boeing, because Dr. Mitchell had an emergency and had to go to Trinidad. I believe it was something with your family. And we had two choices, either to postpone the meeting until he comes back or proceed. And we decided we were going to proceed. And let me tell you something, the new national party came with such a big delegation that our management committee almost had to be outside of the room in order to accommodate them. But it was led by Gregory Bowen. And coming out of that meeting were 27 demands. And among those demands was the question of the restoration of pension. A very important demand. There were other demands. And the New National Party has kept its covenant with those 27 demands, and more importantly, it kept the demand of the restoration of pension to public officers. A brief background. In 1937, the Pension Act, Cap 161 of 1973, was enacted by the then legislature to regulate pensions, gratuities, and allowances to be granted in respect of officers of what was then referred to as the Majesty's Civil Service in the colony. But there were several distinguishing class features of that period. Because I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, that in today's age, you cannot talk pension restoration without talking pension reform. In those days of 1937, there was limited democracy in this country. The right to vote and elect your representative of your choice was reserved for the property class, and the colonial bureaucracy appended to it. The dominant feature of the political economy was plantation production and its allied merchant strata of umbilical merchantists. Jonas Brown and Hubbards, McCarthy and Williams, Hankeys, W. Julian, General Traders, Granbys, and later everybody's. You had Barclays Bank and T. Noble Smith. The mass of the population were either agricultural workers, small poor farmers, or a small group of semi-industrial workers based mainly in St. George's. The law went through several changes, 1937, 1950, and then in 1958. So what we currently have in respect of those workers who were in the service prior to the 4th of April 1983 was the 1958 pension. And after much struggles and after much attempts, because let me make the point, it was not the New National Party nor Dr. Mitchell who, as it were, took away, to use a term which is not quite accurate, the pension of public officers. This was introduced by the PRG, on the 4th of April 1983, when they introduced the Pension Disqualification Act and then introduced the NIS. The intention there was a good intention, because by far the vast majority of working people in this country had absolutely no pensions at all. And that the pension in the civil service was a pension that was created essentially in colonial times. And there were provisions when the PRG did that for further amendments to the act to address the unique situation of the so-called then civil service. But nothing was done subsequently to 1983 because the revolution collapsed and subsequent governments did absolutely nothing until the new National Party came into office in 2013 after the February elections. Comrades, to understand pension restoration and reform, I appeal to you to understand this not as a separate, standalone issue. We have to understand that in 1958, from my research, I think there was only one secondary school. Dr. Joseph? The Grenada Boys Secondary School. By and large, education was still in the hands of the church. And therefore, the colonial state had a very limited number of persons to pay and to look after. A very small civil service. There were many primary schools that did not then exist. But over time, even during the days following the Gary Revolution and over time, and into the PRG, which universalized secondary education and made it free. The then state moved beyond the bounds of the colonial state and then began to pay the salaries of all teachers in this country, irrespective of whether you were denominational or not. So that in 1958, the wages bill of the colonial government was small as compared to what the wages bill now is. The responsibilities of the independent state that it has taken on since independence was greater than that of the colonial state. So that when we're talking about pensions, we have to talk about pension restoration also in the context of pension reform, because there are two different states operating in two different arrangements. The 1958 pension, what is that, Doc? You're the mathematician. That is 60 years ago. That is 60 years ago. 60 years ago. You also have to understand that in the context of pension restoration for public officers, you have to understand the other benefits which the state has delivered under the leadership of Dr. Mitchell and the New National Party to the workers in this country. Coming out of the 27 demands, within months, the elections took place in February. In May 2013, at the May Day rally held in La Sagesse, the then Minister of Labor, Deputy Prime Minister Elvin Nimrod, stood on the platform and declared to thousands of workers gathered in La Sagesse that the new National Party was going to remove income tax on severance pay, which meant that the workers who were going home, and remember what was happening in that period, remember that you took over a country in the depths of an economic crisis. Remember that, don't allow our memories to fade us. Remember there was a time when public officers could not be paid on time. Remember there was a time when the NIS was being raided in order to meet government commitments. Remember there was a time when over 350 CCC workers were sent home when CCC was kicked out of this country. Comrades, remember there was a time when dozens of businesses, including banks, were closing their doors and hundreds of workers were going on the breadline with no prospects of employment. Comrades, remember a time when the unemployment rate had reached 42% and the unemployed could find no work. Remember a time when there was, in some families, no one was working. In that time, with a leadership of fortitude and foresight, with a leadership that had a vision that the old ways of doing things had to change. And it is not me who said it, he said it. I listened to him. He said, I asked my God, what did I do to deserve this? The second time in the history, not only of Grenada, but in the region, the working people gave one political party all of the seats in the parliament. And he said he was not speaking from a script, he was speaking from the heart. He got a divine inspiration. And he said, in order for us to go forward and to confront this country, we need national unity. And he made a call to Madonna and myself, and that's why I'm here, comrades. That's why I am here. And I want you to recall that time. Recall the time when for almost 5 years under the National Democratic Congress, not a single cent in wage increases was paid to any public officer. I want you to recall that, because you see, you cannot take pension restoration and reform just by itself. Because to finance that, it comes from the common pool of financing. There's one bucket, and that bucket is filled from the stream of taxes. It is filled from the stream of grants, and it is filled from the stream of loans. But if you don't manage your loans, if you don't manage your taxes, if you don't increase production and productivity, if you don't work hard, if you don't administer fiscal discipline, then you're going right back to where you were in 2008. And therefore, pension restoration and reform cannot operate outside of the confines of what I've just described. Comrades, we achieved almost a miracle in this country in that we had to restructure the economy. We had to restructure the fiscal component part of the state. And to do that, we had to introduce fiscal discipline. We could not be spending more than we earn. Because to spend more than you earn is only one of the following. You either thief it, you beg for it, or you borrow it. And if you're fiscally ill-disciplined, no bank is lending you money. A government could sell them, go anywhere and thief, if at all. So it is taxes and more taxes and more taxes. And they're positive taxes and they're negative taxes. A negative tax is when the government build up over $110 million in unpaid claims in the treasury. So that a small contractor who provided service for the government can't get paid. And he in turn can't pay the small workers that he have. He can't pay Ramdani, and Ramdani in turn can't order the goods. And because Ramdani not ordering the goods, the government can't collect the taxes on the port. And because the government can't collect the taxes on the port, it don't have money to pay the public officers. And when it can't borrow, the next step, it will have to send you home, as they have done in Barbados, and they are doing right now. So when you talk about pension restoration, you have to talk pension reform. And you have to ground it in certain things. It's not a willy-nilly thing out of the sky. I am a happy trade unionist because I have seen come to pass something that I almost single-handedly been talking about. And thanks to Hamlin Armstrong, we found someone brave enough that we took to the Constitutional Court. And we were able to win before the Constitutional Court the restoration of pensions. But let me tell you something. That restoration came under NDC, you know. They did absolutely nothing about it. Nothing about it. This is the first government that made pension restoration and reform part of its policy. And the government went further because the leader went out on a limb. And he said, if it's the last thing that I want to achieve in this country, he said that in May Day, I was walking around with him. So he took a risk. He went out on a limb and made it government policy. He wasn't shoo-shooing under the table so that if he didn't deliver, you could say nothing because he never promised. He went out on a limb and made a personal covenant with the workers, public workers of this country. And not just the workers appointed by the Public Service Commission. He went further than that. He said all government employees. So when we are talking pension restoration and reform, we have to understand it in that context. And today I wish to report to you that the first phase in the process has been successfully executed. Those who joined the service from April the 4th, 1983 to the 22nd of February 1985, some 56 public officers all received their pensions and their retroactive back pay, $7.2 million paid to them in cash. Not bonds. In cash. Convertible currency, you could buy anything with it. And of course, the talks are now continuing with the unions. And it is my greatest hope that we'll be able to complete the process But I urge reason. I urge that we have to understand that while we have been successful on the fiscal side of the reforms in the economy, there is still other reforms to be carried out. Because the world has changed. We live in a completely different world than 1958. The International Division of Labor has changed completely. The international centers of production and manufacturing have moved out of Europe and the United States and now is in China and Southeast Asia and India. So the world has completely changed. When the colonial government had just a few public officers with limited responsibility. The extent of poverty under the colonial government was worse than we had it now. We have done a tremendous amount with our independence. Make no mistake about it. And you cannot count out Uncle Gary. I fought Uncle Gary, you know that. But you cannot count him out. Because it was a result of his leading that 1951 revolution that we got the right to vote. We put an end to institutional racism and that black people could work in any part and in any industry and in any place in Grenada once you had the ability. And that revolution continued with free university education and still continues today with almost universal university education, because this year alone, in 1 year alone, this government spent some $45 million on university education. And the people who are benefiting from this, I don't want to go through all of the programs which have been detailed. So, comrades, I did ask the chairman to pull my pants when I get to the 10 minutes. So I want to thank you very much. I hope I've been able to explain this to you, and this is my greatest hope, that we will reach a comprehensive agreement that can benefit all of the working people and of Grenada without sacrificing the gains that we have made, and I thank you. Thank you, Brother Chess. Well done, well explained, better understanding. You see, there were two things there. He was so hot he couldn't feel like pulling his pants. And being who I am, I don't like to pull man pants too regular, so, you know, Chess, you have to be careful with that. Anyway, we're moving, huh? Let's get it going. Let's get things going. I have an announcement to make that with a little correction. I understand some people going to register to be part of the production, and they're asking when they need to pay the $20. That $20 spoken about is the $20 for the ticket to get you to see the production. The registration today, you don't have to pay anything. You give your name, your contacts, your constituency, so that you can be part of the production. You can sing, you can act, you can do what as a proud NNP. The other concern is that they say they have an overflow of ladies. I know this party is a party that is proud and like to promote its women. But they say the men hiding. Not one man so far ain't going to register. So men, I'm pleading with you. Come join me in the production. Go register to sing, to dance, and you know there are some parts in the production that is specific for men. So please check Sister Julie. She by the middle door, the glass door. Go register for that. So we're moving. Pension reform. Well done. CCJ. Well done. We're voting on the 6th. What we voting? I hear that. What we voting? I thought I hear somebody say no, yeah? We're voting yes for CCG. We're moving again. We want to speak this time a little bit about where we are, our relationship with other countries, how Grenada is being seen and recognized outside. And I want you to put your hands together, my friends, for a gentleman who has assumed that responsibility as the Foreign Affairs Minister. He's the representative for the tongue of St. George. Let's welcome Brother Peter David as he speaks to us on current affairs issues.
Thanks, my brother Bola. Prime Minister, Mrs. Mitchell. I want to recognize Dr. Mitchell's sister also here with us, comrades, ladies, gentlemen. Well, Chester has taken a lot of what I was going to say, but so I just want to endorse a lot of what my brother says. I was going to speak essentially a little bit about foreign affairs, but a little bit also on CCJ, because I think the most important thing confronting us now is that vote on November 6th. And that is what I think I should spend my time doing. You see, it is my view that in order to complete our independence, the history that Chester spoke about, we as a nation must come together to vote for CCJ. And I'm not merely speaking to the people in front of me. I'm not speaking to the NNP. I'm not speaking to NNP supporters. I am speaking to Grenada. Last Thursday, I did 3 speeches on the 25th, the anniversary of the 83 invasion. And I referred to 83 October 19, the death of Maurice Bishop. And it is my view that those events tells us about the tragedy of division, the tragedy of us losing sight of the main objectives that we have in this country and getting involved in petty partisanship. I want to speak to everybody out there who loves Grenada, who believes in this country. Let us for once put Grenada first. You know, Sister Kim spoke a minute ago and she said that many people say, yes, I support CCJ, but Dr. Keith, but the court system. There is no but with CCJ. If you believe in CCJ, if you're NDC, NNP, PLP, whatever you are, let us vote CCJ. I heard and I respect the fact that the leader of the National Democratic Congress said, and I really respected him when he said it in Wester Hall a few weeks ago, he supports CCJ. I heard several other members of the NDC say that they support CCJ. I have not heard a single one of them say that they do not believe the CCJ is good for our country. I heard the leaders of the trade union movement say that they support CCJ. I have heard the church leaders say that they support CCJ. I have heard the leader of the LNP say that he supports CCJ. I have never heard so many sectors of our country say they support something. It is the one time when I see there's unanimity on an issue where everybody says they support it. Well, if you do support it, vote for it. Because you cannot allow petty differences, and I'm speaking to my friends who are not here. You cannot allow partisan tribalism as we allowed in 1983, as we have allowed in some parts of the history of this country to determine what we do. If we support it, we support it. So if the leaders of the trade union movement say they support it, vote for it on November 6th. The workers who follow them must do what they say and support it. If the leaders of the NDC say they support it, then the members of the NDC should vote for it. If the leader of the NNP says he supports it and the party supports it, then the party members must support it. The point I'm making is this, brothers and sisters. We have to come together. Brother Chester spoke about it. When the Prime Minister called on us to come together, he's fulfilled that promise. But even if you belong to another party, even if you vote for another party, vote for Grenada on the CCJ. I urge all of you listening and here today, let us disagree on the 7th about other issues. Let us disagree about all kinds of things. There's enough to disagree on, but let us agree on what we agree on. It is the first time I've heard so many people say they support. Then why are they saying we support it, but not now. As my dear sister Kim said, if not now, when? It's been over 100 years we've been fighting for independence. We have the chance now. Let us do it. Uncle Gary will turn in his grave. You know, Chester say he fought Gary, but he didn't tell her he was a Garyite too. My brother Chester was a Garyite before he became a jewel. Uncle Gary will turn in his grave. If he knows that we have an opportunity, we must remember this. That when we got independence, they just gave us. Did any of you vote for this 2/3 majority thing? No. We just get it. Because the British give us. The British just said, listen, I'm giving you this, and all of us just took it. We have a chance now to assert our independence. We have a chance to agree on something. So I am not going to speak about foreign policy. I'll come back to that later. As I sat here this evening, I believe there is one thing confronting this nation for the next week. We have just about a week. I urge all of you to go out and get your people to vote. Mobilize, take your car, go seek them out to vote for CCJ. It is a chance for us to say to the world that Grenada can unite on something. It is a chance for us to say to the world that we are one on an issue. It is a chance for us to present to the world that we are a proud people, an independent people. I do not want to bow my head in shame when I'm asked, what did Grenada do? When asked to vote about independence and bringing our court system into our jurisdiction, we voted against it. I don't want to be going into the corridors of power throughout the world as foreign minister and having to explain, well, you know, sir, everybody in Grenada agreed with it, but because they belong to different tribes, they voted against it. We are one tribe. We are Grenada. I say this to my NDC brethren, to my church brethren, to my labor union brethren. We have time. I know there are many saying, well, let's put it off. Put it off for what? Whatever changes we can make later, we will. We are an evolving people. The world is not ending on the 7th. Any defects, as Kim said, we can fix it later. But let us send the message now that we as a people, one people under God, you've listened to our anthem, you have said our pledge, one people. Let us, if the leaders of the NDC, and I repeat, say they support it, then show the world that you support it. You can't have it two ways. If the leaders of the trade unions say they support CCJ because it benefits the workers, then vote for what benefits the workers. If the churches say they support it, churchgoers should vote for it. If all of us here today say we support it, then you not only vote for it, you go out and mobilize CCJ. The next week is critical, brothers and sisters. The next week is important. Every day you have to do something in order for us to win that CCJ vote. Vote yes to CCJ, because everybody in Grenada has said, to a man, all of them has said that the CCJ is good. Therefore, we must go out on November 6th. Mobilize your people on November 6th and go out and vote yes to the CCJ. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Yes, that was Brother Peter Pedro David. I just want to, in a very sad note, and there's just some information reaching us, that one of our sisters who are here with us at this present time, Sister Lizwin Thomas, message has just reached her that one of our nieces passed away. So we sympathize with you, Sister Thomas. We understand what it's like when there's a death in the family. We understand what it is like to lose another NNP sister or brother. May your soul rest in peace. I want to bring on the next speaker because we No. We ain't winding down. We're moving down to the end. Somebody told me just now, Ebola, we're winding down. But no, we're moving down to the end. We're getting close to the end. So just a reminder that we're going live, 89.5, 93.3, and 93.9. Radio for 91.5 and 91.9. We're also on Facebook at NNP Grenada and on YouTube, NNP News. Mikey Live also, so we've been seen and listened to throughout the island. We have another gentleman that will come speak to us. He's a stalwart of this party, like most of us are. Works extremely hard, goes beyond the call of duty, and never says no when NNP calls. He's one that can't sit down. Put your hands together, brothers and sisters, for a strong man, a hard-working man, for the chairman of the party, Brother Gregory Bowing, as he comes to speak to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Secretary and Chairperson, for this evening exercise. I want to recognize the political leader, his mother and sister, and all other parliamentarian colleagues, members of the executive, and you, the family of the New National Party, those of you here present, and those of you listening and following at home, and all Grenadian, Caribbean, and Petit Martiniquans in particular. I will speak to you very briefly on the economy and energy. Our brother Chester has elaborated from whence we came. So I want you to keep this in the background to understand the work that the New National Party leadership has done in moving Grenada forward. The process of getting out of there is significant. We passed the fiscal responsibility legislation where we ensure that we ourselves in government will have to follow the fiscal rules. Some of these are: one, no more than 9% of GDP for salaries, wages, and personal emoluments. This is of critical importance, and this includes pension and others. We ensure that if we spent $100 million this year, we shall spend no more than $102 million the following year. That is, the expenditure must not increase. The primary expenditure must not increase by more than 2%. Brothers and sisters, despite all of this, from 2013, we can boast that the preliminary data for the first half of 2018 indicated that the economy remains strong and poised to experience growth for the 6 consecutive years. Work of the New National Party administration. We had increased economic activity in construction, over 43% growth in 2018 over 2017 for the similar period. Tourism, over 10% growth, and retail trade, over 26%, brothers and sisters. But with all of this, I want to remind us, just as we preach to our young people that we must change our attitude, so too we, with the economic prowess, must change our attitude. After we collected and paid over $110 million of expense claims in the Treasury, after we received so much and paid the back pay, etc., etc., after we started to collect monies on the port, and after the economy started to grow, we saw a massive outlay in imported goods. We must import. But when we see the greatest increase in expenditure was due mainly to imported beverages and drinks, we must change our attitude. That is why, brothers and sisters, as the economy grew and we spent over $7 million on the small business loan, and our young entrepreneurs, and our middle-aged entrepreneurs, and our experienced entrepreneurs embarked upon businesses where we produce goods and services from very Grenada here, yet we went out and bought the competing products. I'm not saying that we must not buy, because we want other persons to buy what we export, brothers and sisters. They must buy our nutmegs and they must buy our cocoa. But at the same time, our attitude must be to give those who invest in Grenada, give them the opportunity to increase sales, brothers and sisters. And I know that we have fresh juices here. We have a lot of commodities. So I was indeed disheartened when I see all the belt tightening effect and all the revenues that we gain going back out in goods, beverages in particular. 26% increase, but most of that 26% came from abroad, of critical importance. The economy is expected to grow by 5.2% in real terms in 2018, following a 5.5% in 2017. And Grenada remained the fastest growing economy in the OECS. Note from whence we came. Brothers and sisters, when we take it and we hear that the Minister for Finance in Grenada received the award of the year, just look from whence he came and from whence we are, and you would understand that he perfectly deserves it, brothers and sisters. The new National Party deserves it. The Grenadian people deserve it, because all of us work together for this, brothers and sisters. I look again at the inflows. Remembered when Brother Timothy Antoine, who also received Bankers of the Year, I remembered when he was preaching that of every dollar collected, 70% went in personal emoluments. But today, brothers and sisters, this is down to the 40%. Imagine this. 30% more left for us to do economic activities. Medication for the hospital, educational facilities, our young people. This is what we must be proud of. That's the economy moving, brothers and sisters. That's inflow in taxation, managing the economy, getting people to make their contribution, pay their taxes without screaming, brothers and sisters. This is not an easy case because no one wants to pay tax, brothers and sisters. The local taking increasing, grants improving, as other persons stay on the outside and watch us and say that yes, you have made the sacrifice. Brothers and sisters, there is something I want to report on the PPP, private-public partnership. We indicated that we will look at private-public partnership for gravel and concrete and for the post office. Yes, we engaged persons, we tendered out, and one person came out the winner. We discussed and we negotiated. But when we found we were not getting the best deal for gravel and concrete, we laid that on the table. But as the Prime Minister and other persons have indicated, we have never said that we will not continue to look. But what we must know is that as of now, there is no private-public partnership at gravel and concrete and at the post office. Forget that when they say government has sold either of these institutions. The intention is never to sell. You come, you participate, you put your resources, you get back your resources. In 20-25 years, the assets return to the country, Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. And our brothers and sisters, a brief indication on energy. Despite our big progress, despite all the belt tightening, I have indicated, and a visiting professor speaking to the private sector indicated, that we will not progress. We will return in time if we do not take care of our energy costs in Grenada. Because it is a competitive world. And when we cannot export, and when we could only import, then bit by bit, we're going right back to the stages that we came from. So it is of extreme importance. And now I want to tell you of a little bit that's going on in the energy sector. Brothers and sisters, we have 15 renewable energy projects coinciding and reverberating with the climate change resilience. Fossil fuel and the carbon print must be diminished tremendously. And we in Grenada have a lot to benefit, because if we promote a carbon-free country, a 100% renewable energy country, then our tourism will grow, not by the 12%, but maybe 50 and 60%, brothers and sisters. This is a marketing tool. And as such, we have projects that have gone already, where over 17 solar panels have been placed on homes in St. Patrick and St. Andrews, where 25 solar panels have been placed on homes in other regions of the country, all funded by the government of Korea. But more importantly, preliminary investigation on our geothermal reveals that we have over 50 megawatts of geothermal, and this is where you generate electricity from the heat resources coming from the earth. It does not need the sunlight, it does not need wind. It goes constantly, brothers and sisters. And Grenada's need is only 30%. In fact, I was discussing with a team from the US Embassy looking at exactly what is happening in Grenada. We must move to ensure that the over $100 million investment to see us move into renewable energy, where we don't have to pay for fuel, we only have to pay, brothers and sisters, for the investment, the machinery to produce this, of critical importance. So I only mention these three. In this morning close ceremony, the sister from PT Martinique asked what has been happening with the arbitration that we're going on, that has been taking place now between the government and Grenada and the WRB. Let me add and repeat, we have no problem with Grenlec. The management of Grenlec and the government of Grenada work closely together. We can pick the phone up and we can call each other. That is why I could tell you that while Grenlec does not have the abundance of street light to distribute the 20 and 30 per constituency, I could call, and I have called, and they will respond to the dismal areas where we have reports of young ladies walking through dismal stretches of road to go home, and the Grenlec will respond. We are working together to ensure that the government will speed up the distribution of streetlights. That is, if we participate particularly with solar streetlights, placing it on Grenlec poles and placing it on our own poles, then you'll see the hue and cry being serviced, because indeed we do need streetlights. But moreover, brothers and sisters, we are at a stage where we are defending the issue. It is a matter of WRB wanting to leave. Nobody is pushing them out. They felt that because something was signed in 1984, that there is an avenue there for them to generate additional revenues, not deserving of an arm's length sale. We signed it in 1984. But we are not sitting idly by. We are ensuring that Grenada is well represented and that we will pay what is deserved to be paid, fighting before the international arbitration. And brothers and sisters, this reminds me, all of us remembered 2007, 2008. It was a similar situation in the energy, in the oil and gas sector, where your humble servant stood alone with a few supporters to fight for what we have just found, gas, significant amount of gas, brothers and sisters. That would not have belonged to us. As a matter of fact, under the control of the person then who had no intention of doing development, we would still have been sitting on this and asking our Lord and Master, well, do something now. It's time to come. That is why, brothers and sisters, it is not only leadership in the economy, but the belly to stand up and fight for our people. And we in the New National Party will continue to do this, brothers and sisters. You have heard that we have found gas so far because we have only drilled one well. We must drill 3 other wells. Financing was a problem. But I am happy to report that investors have now teamed up with a group from the People's Republic of China, who will be provided the financing not only to drill the other 3 wells, but to conduct all the production that is necessary, brothers and sisters, for Grenada to benefit. For Grenada to benefit. But we know what's out there. We listen to Brother Chester. We must not say at this point in time that we have an asset, because we could go out there and find a lot of gas, a lot of oil, but contents, the impurities, could make it not viable. So let us wait. Let us wait for the next year when we drill the wells before we can say that we are out of the doldrum economically, brothers and sisters. You remember they were saying that we did not. We listened from, we heard it from Trinidad and Tobago. Did you give Trinidad and Tobago all? But let me tell you, brothers and sisters, if Gregory Bowen or the Prime Minister Keith Mitchell had gone out and said that we have a pact with Trinidad and Tobago to purchase all the gas that we will be extracting from our waters, and that Trinidad and Tobago will be building a pipeline from the platform in our waters to Trinidad and Tobago so that they can purchase and refine the gas, what would they say? Lie, lie, you're boasting. But the minister from Trinidad and Tobago said so. But you had a different story. Well, you give them everything. So we can't please everybody. Brothers and sisters, I'm saying this to end now with the CCG. You see this thing, I support but? Forget that. I support but? Forget that. As the speakers before me have asked, let all of us come forward. Let all of us go out. Let all of us do what we know that we can do and bring out our people and others. Don't let our own people say, well, we know that when our people come out, we will be successful. But we have seen the attitude out there. Some of them, it's not an election. Well, we don't have to vote for Dr. Mitchell. We don't have to vote for Gregory Bowen. We don't have to vote for Clarence Charles. So why come out? It is our fundamental duty and responsibility to go to pick them up, brothers and sisters, on the morning, to watch them when they go to work, because if you only allow them to go to work, half our task will already be defeated. Bring them there early morning, just as we say on election day. Come out and vote yes to the CCG. Because all the gains that we are making, all the gains that we will make, an institution of justice will ensure that the benefit remains with us and will not be taken away. The CCJ belongs to us. It is our culture. And decision and justice will be made within our sphere of influence. So I thank you very much. On the 6th November, vote the CCJ.
Let's give it up. That was Gregory Bowen, hardworking, chairman of the party, representative for Southeast St. George. Friends, we're coming here to the end. I just want to remind you, I see some people already toting what Yambo people inside and outside. I realize what are you doing. Don't forget the black chairs when we finish. When we finish, don't bring them now. Wait when you finish. Sit down until the end and then put them inside. We're getting to the place where things get real nice now. Who you want to hear now? Eh? You want to hear me? Anyway, I want to bring to you now, yes, the man who inspires, the man who can get us to get to a better place. He has led with distinction. He has transformed this country. He has made this party into something better than it was before. I want you to give your undivided attention as you put your hands together now and welcome our political leader, Dr. Keith Mitchell, to speak to you.
Thank you, Brother Boa, thank you. And to my colleagues, and of course, my sisters and brothers, I know you've been a long day for you, so I hope not to keep you much longer. but just to say the following. I think we had a wonderful array of speakers today. Every speaker that spoke did an excellent job. Give them a good round of applause. Colleagues, we are here today at a time in our country that I believe offers every Grenadian, Caraconian, and PT Martinican can be very proud of where we are as a country. We didn't get there just so. Many of the speakers told you how we got there. But it's important to note the following. We have continued to grow our economy. We are continuing not just to have higher growth in the country, but job-related growth. And let me give you a little bit of numbers. Brother Chester already told you we had over 42% unemployment when we came into government in 2013. The last statistics published last year said we are down to 23.2. Well, only yesterday, the statistics department gave me preliminary data for the new unemployment statistics, and it down to 20.9, sisters and brothers. But let me say this, that was up to June. A lot more employment took place. And I can give you one of the statistics which you know. Sister Kate just told you, we have 500 empower young people, and 800 Imani, that is over 1,300, right? If the numbers are correct, if we add right. But we have more than 700 other workers who are permanently employed in wardens and other direct government jobs that we have just added. So you're looking at over 2,000 persons since the 20.9. And 2,000 workers works out to be 1/20th of the workforce, which means that another 5%, you could subtract 5 from 20.9 and you're getting almost 15.9%. That means, sisters and brothers, a lot of Grenadians are earning and living today than they ever earned before. You have heard from Sister Emlyn Pierre and others about education. We have heard about the development in social services, the massive strides in healthcare. We have a lot more to do. We have heard about this. Sisters and brothers, you have heard and seen the country moving forward in its image in terms of the regional and international arrangements, how we are perceived. You have heard more and more of that. You have also seen, sisters and brothers, while the United States are talking a lot about border control and increasing, making it difficult for people to travel to the United States, Grenadians have now been given an opportunity to get a visa without going to Barbados, which is a clear indication of where the country is at this particular time. Sisters and brothers, the issue of pension, Brother Chester Humphrey spoke at length, but let me make this point on this very important issue. I think Brother Chester did an excellent job in laying clearly the historical aspect of pension and basically where we are this time. All I say, sisters and brothers, is this. In addition to what we have done, we said we want to do more. So we want to work with our trade union brothers and sisters to ensure that we can get maximum benefit for the workers who have been marginalized. But let me make this point. Right now, sisters and brothers, we have one pot, as it was already said. Everybody had to get something out of that pot. In addition to the workers, the pension for workers who are permanent public servants, we have a number of workers over the years who received the least amount of money. They were called temporary workers. They work for some of them 30 years. Some of them hardly got anything. The present negotiation does not involve them, but I want to make this point. We have to pay everybody something, sisters and brothers, from the same pot. So I'm making the point that the bread must be shed. But the other point I want to make, if we have to give more in one area, we have to take it from somebody. I am saying, I've heard some people saying, well, look at the road workers. You're spending too much money on road workers. Sisters and brothers, the road worker generally gets sometimes 2 fortnights of a year. You want to tell me that a man is getting 2 fortnight work for the year? I am already working and I must get more and don't give him anything. Sisters and brothers, that cannot be a Christian value, sisters and brothers. In other words, all of us must have a heart. But there's another point I need to make, sisters and brothers. The reason we are getting significant financial support is because we behave in ourselves. Now, Brother Simon Steele told you, we got $125 million recently to do sewage work and a number of infrastructural work through the Green Climate Fund. If we had not behaved ourselves, we would not have got $125 million, sisters and brothers. But more than that, we have been allocated, like several countries in the region, $65 million from IDA. Sisters and brothers, but there are conditions laid down to get this. Grenada is the only country that have got $30 million of that money that came in 3 weeks ago, sisters and brothers. My friends, we have $35 million more to get. If we misbehave and we break the rules that we agree on, we would lose $35 million US. You know what that amounts to? 94 plus million EC dollars. Sisters and brothers, I don't believe any Grenadian want this country not to get $94 million EC. I make this point, sisters and brothers, for what it's worth. My friends, because we have had a number of activities coming up soon, I just want to make this point. Very soon, we have our throne speech. We have the prorogue parliament and then we have the throne speech coming. After the throne speech, we have the budget, sisters and brothers. These are significant events, and invitations will be going out to everyone. And under that new budget, you will hear about some significant activities, more projects, more jobs, sisters and brothers, coming for all citizens for the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So, I am saying, sisters and brothers, we cannot do anything else but continue the march forward as far as the economic and political situation in this country is concerned. In other words, we must continue to unify our people. Whatever is said politically, sisters and brothers, the fact is, this party represents the only hope for Grenada at this particular time. This party is the one that is bringing people together. This party is the one that is prepared to take the strong decisions and not to worry about political consequences. What is best for Grenada must be best for the NNP and every other political party. Therefore, sisters and brothers, your CCJ, you heard enough about that tonight. This last week, everyone must put our best foot forward. This last week, sisters and brothers, give this last week for our children and grandchildren's future. I ask every single one of you, you will be seeing a lot more activity around the country. But everyone, not just vote, but encourage others to vote. Sisters and brothers, this is our country. This is our future. And therefore, the NNP is taking the leadership in ensuring that we're doing what is right for all future generations of this country. So once again, let me thank every single one of you for being here tonight. I love every single one of you. Let's continue to come work together, build together, and build this beautiful country of ours. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. We are going to close the meeting now. Thank you for returning the chairs back inside. And just before you leave, we'll ask for God's guidance and protection. And I'll ask Brother Galway to do that first.
Let's just bow a moment. Father, we want to thank you for this day. We thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for your grace and your peace, your love and your mercies. We indeed can say as a people, we have been blessed, truly blessed by your awesome power in this convention today. We thank you for all that have been said and done. We thank you, O God, for the elected officials. We thank you, Lord, for the information that have been disseminated. We thank you, O God, for you being here with us. And as we prepare ourselves to go to our various homes, we pray, Lord, that you go with us, go before us. Bring us home safely. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you.
Blue went to get you. What we say? Go down this road.